Why on earth are we at a track? Well, that's a good question. There's not any particular reason other than that's just where we're doing it today. I guess we'll get a lot of good natural light, I suppose, for the video that's going to be on the autobiography of Gary Stevenson. Now, for anyone who doesn't know who Gary Stevenson is, over the last year or so, he's really blown it up on YouTube, and his channel is focused on talking about wealth inequality, particularly wealth inequality in the United Kingdom, because he is from the UK. He used to stay in Ealing, which is in London, and that's where he started off in a fairly impoverished background. He came from a home that didn't have a lot of money, and he basically looked up towards these big banks, and his dream, I guess, was to become big and famous, and that is basically what he did. The focus of this book is on his story towards becoming very rich, and I guess, I don't know if I want to say successful, because near the end of the book he deals with a lot of trauma that he's had to deal with in his life. However, does not focus on his time after becoming a financial trader in one of the biggest banks in London, which is in Citibank. So for anyone who's expecting this book to be about his sort of like YouTube journey, because he's blown up, I think he's got something like 1 point something million subscribers now, and he only started a few years ago, just as COVID had happened in the middle of 2020. So in short, the story focuses on his upbringing and how he got into university, and how for university he managed to sort of blag his way into working at one of these banks, which is generally only been for people that come from very rich families and from Ivy League schools, and he was not set up on that life. How he got into working at Citibank was through a game. It was through a card game that he played at university on their different levels, and that's how he eventually got in. So now I picked up the book not thinking, I'm not like a finance bro, I'm not really interested in self-help books or books about people who become millionaires and things like that. Like Diary of a CEO does not speak to me at all. But I've really been enjoying the stuff that this guy's been putting out on YouTube. He really focuses on how the rich have too much. He is one of those rich, he is a millionaire, he doesn't keep anything back about that. He has been very successful in terms of the amount of money he's made from his days trading in Citibank, but he's got a focus idea on trying to tax the wealth of people that have, say, more than like 10 million. It's just an idea. He talks a lot about how he isn't the saviour. He wants to try and educate as many people as possible about how the rich do have too much money, and obviously that's down to whether or not you agree with that. You might be rich and thinking, well, I have a lot of money, but then I pay a lot of taxes and things like that, and he's saying that the rich should be taxed more. So that is how he's become very famous. How he became very rich was through trading at Citibank, and that is basically where the story is all working towards for the first section of it. It talks about his life in London as a young boy, but the focus of the book is really when he's a day trader at Citibank. I think day trader is the correct term. But he trades in predominantly various types of currencies, and he does fairly well at explaining it. You know, trading in stocks and things like that can be filled with a hell of a lot of jargon to make it really complicated for the layman not to understand. To get into working at Citibank as a day trader, which basically made him the money that he has and made him the person that he is today, for better or worse, he ended up going to London School of Economics, quite a prestigious university in London. He wasn't the type of person that you'd necessarily expect to find in there, but he was very academically gifted. And he ended up finding out about the trading game. So it was a card game where one university student who didn't have connections, that, for example, this could be Gary because his parents weren't anyone in the banking world, for example, would be able to win the game and therefore get a place working as a brand new graduate in Citibank. So he basically found out some information from a friend about how best to prepare himself to win this card game, and he did basically just that. He got through, he won, got himself into Citibank eventually, ended up working as a trader, was there for like 10, 12 hours a day. It seemed to be his whole life, and he was really focused on that and was happy to give away a lot of his life because he was really just driven by money at that point in his life. He sort of steadily worked his way up, and I think by the age of about 23, they said in the book that he was the most, I mean, it's all from a first person point of view, that he was like the most successful trader that had only been there for that long. It's a little bit like Wolf of Wall Street, maybe not quite that unhinged, but it's a long that sort of line. It's nice that I guess it's from a UK's perspective, because when you hear about things like that, it's always like America and New York, Los Angeles and things like that. But it gets to the point in the book where he works his way through the years. He meets a lot of different characters. A lot of them, for some reason, I just kind of pictured as characters in succession. I felt like that was an easy way to do it, because they're always in some sort of corporate meeting, boardroom or something like that. So a lot of it is focused around him being on the trading floor. And he gets to the point where he's super successful, but then it seems to not make him all that happy. It kind of ruins the relationships that are around him to an extent. Some other people are getting caught up in this life and just can't handle it, can't handle the drink or the drugs or whatever else it is, and things are kind of falling apart. He basically wants to leave, but the company doesn't want to let him leave without getting rid of the bonuses that he gets. So he gets big bonuses at the end of the year, and that's how he gets paid big. But the bonuses do not come right at the end of the year. They get paid out over the years, but you just get confirmed what you're going to get at this Christmas, but then you don't get the full amount until 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the line. So it basically keeps him in there, and he really wants out of this life. He ends up moving to Japan and going through a bit of a traumatic spiral, and the book pretty much concludes with him basically recovering a little bit from that period. But the mainstay of the book is his time at Citibank. A bit like the characters in Succession, quite a few of the people that he works with and meets are very particular. They're very good at one specific thing. It might not be social skills, it might not be trading, it might be they're just a bit of a comedic character in various sort of ways. There's no art or pictures in the book. I'll show you guys a flick through of it. I got the paperback version. I got it quite cheap. It was discounted in WH Smith. You can find it on eBay for about £7 something just now. It's like 380-ish pages, not too many words per page, as you can see. So I find it quite enjoyable. The paperback's obviously pretty small and therefore easy to carry around. My impression of the book was I've been really enjoying the guy's YouTube videos, and when I started reading through it and found out that it was just about his life before YouTube, I was a bit like, I don't know if I really want to read a sort of finance bro autobiography, but I've really enjoyed it. It was pretty hard to put down, to be honest. The chapters are not too long, it's quite helpful. For anyone who wants to learn about this guy's life, it is not about his message of wealth inequality. That's a big takeaway from it. That's what his YouTube channel's for. I can link that in the description. But this is about his life, and regardless of it not being about the message that he is now very well known for, I would say it's a very enjoyable read regardless.